Hey, Kerry here. Out here in one of my favorite places out in nature with the birds and a whole bunch of other animals making noises in the background behind me, and the cotton coming off the trees. Actually looks like it's snowing. I don't know if it's going to come up in the video or not, but it's pretty cool outside right now. So happy to share that with you today. And with clicking on this video, I'd like you to know that the love and connection you desire, that you crave, it's on its way to you. All right, trust it. Keep working on yourself. Keep growing, keep learning, keep healing, becoming the best version of you. And the universe will reward you. There is no doubt about it. So, as I mentioned, my name's Kerry. Welcome to my YouTube channel where we talk about all things mindset, motivation, and manifesting. Today, we're going to touch on the topic of why you should never beg someone to be with you. Now, I think I need to do almost a little disclaimer as we start off, where relationships can be work, right? And I mean, I'm not all about pulling the pin the minute someone doesn't say thank you or sneezes, right? Like that, I mean, I get it, right? It's about connection, communication, and being a part of a relationship, little give and take, stuff like that. But what I'm talking about today is if you're in a spot or you know someone, whatever, where they are truly out. They don't want to be with you. They've told you that, they're out, leave me alone, don't talk to me, or whatever. There's been, things that have happened in the relationship that have kind of violated boundaries that you have, that it's like, yeah, you know what, like that's not okay, and it's out. It's like, so why you shouldn't beg someone to stay with you. So where this video really touches a spot with me is there was 2 times in my life actually where I've begged someone to stay with me in a relationship, and I just know how that felt in that moment, right? Feeling helpless and small, and what that did to my energy and vibe, and how it impacted all the rest of the areas of my life as well, how I showed up as a friend and in my businesses and even as a parent and stuff. So it's like, it's crazy how that all impacts, right? And then going back and actually to those moments, right, that I was sitting there begging, and then having the distance from that now and the clarity, and actually being able to step back and knowing, like, what were you actually begging for? Like, to be in that environment with the things that are happening, and with how the other person was showing up, how I was not able to show up, what that was all about. Did I really want to stay there? I was begging to stay somewhere that would have been an absolute travesty if I stayed there. And that same is probably true for you. But it's hard to kind of make that connection when all those emotions are involved and you're in the middle of it, right? When the weight of the world's on your shoulders, the uncertainty and all those things. So this video hopefully will help you out with a little bit of clarity and make you, think about a few different things on your way through. So welcome to nature. I just had like a giant ass bug fly in my nose. I don't even know what it was, and I'm covered in fluff, but we're gonna keep going because that's what this is all about. One take videos here, right? So a little thing that I wanted to kind of get into here. So there's a quote by Thich Nhat Hanh, and it is you must love in a way that the person you love feels free. That's truly what a relationship is, where the other, that the person that you're with is there because they want to be. They can't wait to see you. They're excited to see you. The same is true of you for them. Like, that's what it's all about. Knowing that they could leave anytime. The door's open, but they stay because they want to be with you. They care about you. They love you. You have a connection. That's what it's about. So if someone wants to walk out of your life, if that's not the case, hold the damn door open for them. Bye-bye, right? Let them go. Let them walk. I'm telling you right now that there is no amount of convincing or things you can say or do that can assert that feeling into someone else to make them love you. That isn't there. So save yourself the pain, the grief, and all of that. All right? We're going to go over today in this video, right? Why does someone beg someone to stay with them? What happens, when you beg to yourself and to others, and then what happens when you actually let them go? Well, how that impacts you and the other person as well. So we're going to get right into it. All right. Why do people beg someone to be with them? These come from clients that I've worked with and personal insight over the years, and just all of that together. So I'm going to get right in. Number 1, right, is why do people beg someone to be with them? Is when the other person's leaving, it's because they've pedestalized that other person, right? They think that they'll never do as good as that person. And the problem with that is that when you treat someone like a celebrity, they're going to treat you like a fan. And as hard as that is to hear, it's the truth. And think about, wind the clock back to before you actually with this person. You thought that, that connection that you thought you would never have. Oh, I'd never get anyone this good looking, or I'd never get anyone that I have this kind of connection with and everything else. You thought it was impossible, but then you met them, you had that experience. There's a reason why you had that experience, but there's also a reason why it's over, right? Because that and something greater, something better is on its way to you, all right? But you got to trust that. Okay, so that's one reason why people beg. It's because they think that they'll never do any better than this. This is the pinnacle of who they could be with. They're so lucky to be with them and all of that. And I'm not taking anything away from it. You probably had some great experiences with that person, but there's still no reason to beg, because what's on its way to you is so much better. Okay, number 2 is people are scared to be alone, scared to be on their own, right? I get it. Like, no one wants to be alone, or that vision of someone being alone all their lives, but you won't be. Right? And someone else can only love you as much as you love yourself. So if you've got those fears and doubts inside of you, and those things that you say and things you say about yourself and to yourself, no one else can love that out of you. You've got to do the work. And if you're interested in kind of talking about that, by all means, send me a DM. I'd love to talk to you about that. So that's number 2. People are scared to be on their own. Number 3 is that you have low self-confidence. Right? And that's kind of a combination of the first 2, but your confidence is in the gutter through whatever transpired in that relationship, how things unfolded, how you were treated, how you treated them, just, where it is. And sometimes it's warranted. I think there's ownership in every little bit of that. There's ownership, in your own end. And if we don't take that ownership, well, then we're just going to repeat those patterns. Again, there's a lot of different things to dig into when it comes to that. But low self-confidence is another reason why someone begs. Because if you are confident and you're crushing it and away you go, no chance you're begging anyone to stay with you. So, okay, so those are the big 3 that I've found. So what happens when you beg someone to be with you? Number 1, first biggie right off the bat, is they lose all respect for you, right? And not only that, but you lose respect for yourself, right? You ooze this energy of neediness and desperation out there. And I'll tell you what, when I say neediness and desperation, does that sound attractive to you? No, not at all, right? But that's what happens, right? But again, when you're in it, it just makes sense that that's the right thing to say. It's the right thing to do, but it's not. So that's the first thing that happens. Number 2 is the other person, the person that you're begging to stay with you generally will take you for granted, right? And start treating you worse than you've already been treated, right? It enables negative behavior or patterns or boundary violations, and it encourages that. And every time that it lets them know that, hey, look, there's no consequence for that violation of that boundary. And then every time you let it go, not only are they going to do it again and more blatant, but every time it happens to you, it knocks you down more till you feel smaller than small. And that's not a great place to be. Number 3, right, is even if you do beg them and they do decide to stay, you're always going to question and doubt their love and commitment, right? Are they here because I convinced them to, or because they actually want to be? And does that sound like the idea of a great relationship to you? Me neither. Right? Number 4, right, what happens when you beg someone is it decreases your confidence in your self-worth. Like I said, like before, it was from violations of boundaries, but it's just every time you beg for something, right? It's that again, that needy and desperate vibe that you're putting out, that energy state that you're in, that scarcity and lack mindset. And trust me, it's not a great place to live from, and you don't have to stay there. All right. Number 5 is the other thing that happens when you beg. There's 2, 5 and 6 I've got here. So the other one is you surrender all of your leverage or worth to the other person, right? All of a sudden, you're at their beck and call. You're their little lapdog. They say jump, you say how high. That's not a relationship, right? Not at all. And the 6th one is number 6. Like I said, that even if you do convince them to stay, it's not going to last. That relationship will become more and more toxic, and all of the things that I mentioned previously will get stronger and more intense. And eventually, when it does end, right? When it does end, what's going to happen is you've prolonged the pain and suffering that you're feeling that much longer, right? That you didn't have to go through. right? And not only is that time that you sat and invested in pain and suffering on your part, but you also could have been using to grow and become the better version of you and actually be with someone that actually appreciates you and wants to be with you. All right. So that's what happens when you beg. All right. I'm going to keep moving here. So, but the benefits of letting them go, right? When you just decide, okay, I'm not going to beg. So they've said that they're out. They said that they don't want to be with me, whatever that is. Give me space. Oh man, let me tell you about the I need space speech. I'll do another video about that. If you want me to do a video about the I need space thing, comment below and I'll get in that later. But so number one, when you let them go, when you finally surrender to it and say, you know what, go. You do you, I'm gonna do me. Have a nice life. You open the door, the opportunity to invite that person that does appreciate you for who you are and that will love you for who you are into your world, right? And there's a great analogy. I love this story and I can't remember where it came from, but it's back in medieval times with the king and queen, you know, and they had the king and the queen, and the jester was the person that, you know, was like the comedic relief, like entertained the king and queen all the time and stuff like that. And there was a saying and a quote, if you know what it is, you can put it in the comments below. But you don't, if you're, so, and I'll speak in terms of king and queen, so whatever you're looking for here. So, but like I'll talk about for me. So if my queen is going to show up in my life, if she shows up and the jester is sitting in the queen's throne, she's going to walk right on by, right? How many of you are begging the jester to stay in your life? Ladies, you begging the king to stay in your life? You know, you're waiting for the king, but you've got the jester sitting in the throne. Well, it's better than being alone. It's better than doing this. It's, you know, it's like, oh, come on. You deserve better than that. So that's what happens, right? Don't let the jester sit in the throne. Because when your person shows up, they're going to walk on by. Now, and there's not just one person in this world. I'll do another video about that. But it's not only one person in this world. There are many people in this world that you would have a brilliant connection with, love, cherish. They would do the same for you, right? But that's another topic on another day. Number two is that once you let them go, you can finally connect to yourself and rediscover how amazing you are, right? And I noticed this so much that once I was, once I had kind of navigated those rough waters through the end of the relationships that I'm talking about today, and I was able to really sit with myself and make that connection, you realize that what you do have to offer, and that in that relationship where you weren't able to show up how you wanted to show up in this world, as a friend, as a partner, as a father in my case, and all of those things, it's so much better to show up and be who you know you're supposed to be. So that's another benefit, right? Is that you get to connect to yourself again and then actually let your light shine as it should be, instead of letting someone else and conceding and dulling that shine for someone else because you think that they're not going to like it or approve of it, right? Number three, builds your confidence, right? Goes in saying, kind of stacks on the first two that we did there. Number four is that when you finally let them go, you realize more what you don't want and what you do want. You get that clarity. And as you get a little bit of distance there, you realize that that really wasn't what you want and desire in your world. That's not your idea of love and connection, and you don't have to beg someone for that, right? You should never have to. And I mean, you know, granted, no one walks down the aisle on day one, you know, and says, hey, you know, this is a short-term thing. Like everyone, including myself, thinks that, you know, it's going to be forever, right? But when it gets to that point where you realize, again, that it's not, and you've put in the work, and you've done the time, and you've made an effort over and over to see what that's all about, right? You shouldn't have to beg. And I'm not a promoter of divorce and separation, but I do believe that it's about saving the man or saving the woman, saving the person more than saving the relationship. Because there's so many people in this world right now are in relationships that are dead. And it's two people that are dying inside, but they're staying together for whatever reason you can come up with, for the kids, for this, for that. It's easier than paperwork, like whatever, right? Don't want to be alone. I mean, go back to it. So anyways, but, and I mean, in a lot of the guys that I work with in coaching them through separation, divorce, breakups, stuff like that, is that it's always sunshine and sunny days and good times in the beginning. And And it's how often, as that process and the demise and the breakup of the relationship goes down, and we're in, people get in those spots where they're almost begging someone else to stay with them, is it's like, whoa, I didn't expect that. I didn't think they would be like that. Holy, I didn't see that side of them ever. Well, some people are good at hiding stuff, right? It's sad, but the more they practice it, the better they get at it, right? There's people I know that have their entire families duped on who they actually are and what they're all about and what they stand for in this world. But that's good. That's their road to hoe, right? That'll come around with them. But the big thing is that you realize, and as you get a little bit of that distance, and you'll see those things that were like, oh, well, I'm glad I noticed that then, instead of being with this person for another year, 5 years, 20 years, right? There's a great Maya Angelou quote, right? When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. And I cannot think of a more suitable quote for this today than that. I'm going to leave you with one last one today as we end out. Okay? So again, never beg someone to stay with you. You're worth more than that. And if you have to beg someone, if you feel that you have to beg someone to be with you, that's not the right person. Right? And I have some notes down here, and I want to make sure that I have this quote right, but it's a Karen Salmonson quote. And it is, at your absolute best, you still won't be good enough for the wrong person. And at your worst, you'll still be worth it for the right person. Think about that. You can rewind it, go back, tag it, write it on your mirror, whatever, like make sure that you've got those things in there, right? Because it's important that you realize that. So a lot of times, and there's the things where we go through, I've got a couple of quick things that I just want to share as we go through. So going back to those quotes again, never beg someone to stay with you, right? You want to be in a relationship where you love that the other person feels free and that you feel free as well. And that's what love is all about. So if you want to talk about this more, you can DM me, you can connect with me through my website, which is kerrykish.com. I'll tag it in the notes. And if you did find value in this video, or you know someone that could find value or could maybe hear and use this message today, share it with them, like it, tag them in it, share the video with them, subscribe to the channel, because that's what this channel is all about, is lessons in life and shortening that amount of time that people have to stay in those rocky situations or those rough waters, and learning from my journey and what I've learned from the growth and development that I've done, so that it exponentially shortens the time that people have to stay in those storms, right? And at no point do I ever claim to be at the finish line. I am a work in progress, probably the biggest work in progress that you're going to meet. So that's what it's all about for me. So I'm grateful for you sharing some time with me today. And if you'd like to continue that journey on becoming the best version of you, I invite you to check out this video that's popping up on the screen right now. It's going to be about mindset, motivation, and manifesting. So again, I'm grateful for you and every moment we share together. And until the next video, sending peace, love, and positive vibes your way.